There are two issues I wish to speak about this weekend, of course based on the gospel and on the solemnity of honoring all of the saints. The one issue is political, and the other issue is moral. Politics. This has been a particularly divisive voting season. I've seen someone post on Facebook recently that anyone who votes for a candidate that he is not aligned with, he will defriend, unfriend, whatever the word is, on Facebook, his family and friends who vote for a candidate opposite of him. He's going to defriend or unfriend. I've heard of family members viciously and unfairly attacking family members who feel differently about voting. I've seen the texts. I've seen the emails from people. And I mean the ad hominem attacks, which, by the way, are the weakest and most futile way to defend a position. Those attacks, they're unfortunate and they are so unnecessary. But that's the political season we're in right now. It is that divisive. I have family members and friends who are going to vote differently than I am. And here is what I am not going to do. I am going to do my best not to let this election separate me from my family members and friends. Why? Because they mean too much to me. I don't want to lose them. I can charitably battle for my causes. I can speak as a clergyman who is mandated to speak the doctrines of the church, not my own theology, but the church's, and hopefully I can make my case and then go from there. Communities, including this one, are being separated by this voting season, and I have to ask you, do you know who wins this division among peoples? Do you know who wins those fights? It's not us. It's not us. It's the evil one. He is loving this. Don't let him win our hearts. Don't let him separate us. This weekend, the 8 Beatitudes are front and center. Here's what they don't say. Blessed are the vile. Blessed are the mean-spirited. Blessed are the ruthless. Blessed are the vengeful. Blessed are the unkind. No, Jesus is pretty clear. To be his disciple is to be kind, charitable, honest, truthful, forgiving, courageous. That sums up the saints that we honor today. If you study their lives, they were focused on Christ and everything that is good associated with Christ, which is everything. Honesty, charity, truthfulness, courage. The saints imitated Christ, and we are to imitate the saints. The second issue for today, it's a moral issue. Brothers and sisters, there's a lot of evils out there, so let's name some of them. Lying, cheating, selfishness, racism, prejudice, greed, disrespect for creation, ignoring God, and I don't think any of us denies these sins, and probably we could add to that list of sins. Those sins are to be eradicated from our lives with God's help. But are they on the same level as abortion? I am extremely worried about the church leadership in the world right now. The church hierarchy. Not everybody, but a lot. There are members of the church hierarchy, all along the clergy ladder who make the case of a moral equivalency with these evils. And I have to tell you, when they make those moral equivalencies between abortion and these other evils, they're wrong. They are flat out wrong. A lot of these people are much smarter than I am, and they are much more eloquent, but if my understanding is correct and they're trying to make an equivalency among these evils, they are wrong because they are not stating church doctrine. They're confusing the faithful. And that should be anathema to us as clergy. Pope Francis has stated the preeminent issue is to reverence the unborn, and that our defense of the unborn should be clear, firm, and passionate. St. John Paul II stated in his encyclical Evangelium Vitae that abortion is a primary evil, intrinsically evil, and out of the inherent dignity for an unborn should be stopped. He begins, the gospel of life is at the heart of Jesus' message. It is to be preached with dauntless fidelity as good news to the people of every age and culture. And again, Pope Francis also states, but pro-life means more than reverencing unborn children, because while life begins at conception, it doesn't end there. So what both of these popes are saying is that abortion is the preeminent evil. The preeminent evil, and that also battling other evils is important too. Last weekend, Deacon Dan preached on racism. Okay, great. It was important to hear his message because racism is wrong. We as Catholics, we can chew gum and walk at the same time. We can talk about evil and trying to eradicate it no matter what it looks like. Always remembering, though, that the primary intrinsic evil is abortion. And if that evil isn't stopped, will the other evils be stopped? I wonder. As clergy, we are to be clear about the hierarchy of sin, and I'm afraid some are not, and that's causing a moral malaise in the church right now. Brothers and sisters, and I've said this before, you're not paying me to hear my personal theology. My theology, if it differs from the church, my theology is 58 years old. The church's theology is 2,000 years old, discerned from a foundation in Jesus Christ and prayed about over the centuries. Those doctrines have history, they have meaning, and they are the doctrines of the church that we should follow. If I give my personal theology, I am doing a great disservice to the church. I am to preach the doctrines of the church which are true. So again, I go to the Beatitudes. I don't know how one can reconcile the heart of these Beatitudes, which actually is how we treat one another, and then support abortion that destroys a woman's life, minimizes one of the gifts of womanhood, that is motherhood, and kills a child in the womb. That's just not possible to reconcile that with the Beatitudes. So there's a moral issue. I would ask you to pray for us clergy, because I think some of us are doing a real disservice to you. And I pray that we stop that. We ought to preach the truth, the doctrine of truth, not our own personal theology. There are two issues I wanted to speak about this weekend. One is political, and the other is moral. The Beatitudes have powerful words of advice in both arenas. Let's make sure we listen to them. The saints loved and lived the Beatitudes. We are to do the same. We now stand and we have the privilege of confessing. I believe in one God.